So, a little background. Safety first. Everybody knows, MDRA operates under a commercial general liability policy. We've launched over 15,000 rockets here at MDRA without any incidents. We intend on keeping this record clean with these 2 launches. MDRA will appreciate that, as will the Higgs brothers, as will the neighbors. This cannot happen without you folks listening and paying attention. There we go. All right. Now, once again, this is a rocket launch. Nothing is guaranteed. There's an old saying about missiles that can easily be applied to these rockets. Rockets are another word for a problem. Either you're having a problem, you just had a problem, or you're going to have a problem. We're hoping the only problem these rockets have is they'll get a little muddy when they land. We need you to watch the entire flight. Be aware of where you are. Be aware of where your children are, especially. If the rockets do fail in their recovery effort, don't run up to them. Keep watching them. Chances are they're going to be out in this area someplace. So everybody that's parked here, you know that these rockets are probably going to be passing overhead. But your cars are insured, so not to worry about that. If the rocket does get close to you, again, keep your eye on it and just back out of the way. Don't crowd when you're lining up on the other side of the house here on the road. Give yourself some room, spread out a little bit. You don't have to be clustered like a bunch of molecules. On May 15, 2004, the Liberty Project was launched in this field. It was the beginning of bringing the big boys to Higgs Farm. The Liberty Project was one of those projects that many people didn't think was going to fly. It seemed like an overwhelming task at the time. 2 years of planning and hard work paid off, and MDRA set their first world record. The Liberty Project weighed 1,268 pounds, stood 24 feet tall, and was 24 inches in diameter. In its day, it was quite a project. It had a central P motor, 2 O motors, and 2 N motors. It flew to about 3,000 feet, and we deployed a 105-foot diameter main parachute. That was the beginning of us meeting the neighbors, because the rocket ended up in those trees over there, and it took a little bit of doing to pull out. Then following on with that, we had Steve E's project in 2009. On April 25th, Steve launched his 10th scale Saturn V here. That rocket stood 36 feet tall and weighed over 1,600 pounds and was successfully recovered in the field right behind you over there standing up. And I'm sure everybody's seen the video on that. Now we're going to take another step forward, and Steve is launching another rocket with Vern Hogue. And Vern Hogue's rocket is the one on the left. That's the first one that will be going, and Steve's will be the second one to be going. That's the one on the right. Alright, just a little bit of background on these rockets. First off, they're extremely big and they're extremely heavy. We got a lot of wind here. Vern's rocket is lifting off on 8 motors. It's going to have 4 N motors and 4 M motors. They're all going to be launched and lit simultaneously. We expect an altitude of about a mile, between a mile and 5,500 feet. I want to thank the people that donated the motors to Vern's project. Sather Ratham from Bush, the Wisconsin organization Space Model Hobbyists, they bought one of the M3400s. Ray Wright, who is an MDRA member, bought an M3400. Otto Burgess, who is an MDRA member, bought an M3400. Tony Abresh, who was an MDRA member, bought a M3400. Blake Nyokic bought an N2500. Larry Haynes of Max Aerospace bought an N2500. Gary Pletzer not an N2500. Not done yet. Got one more. Read this. All right. A little bit. Okay, Shane or Steve Batten is dedicating his N2500 to the honor of Sergeant Brandon Hockley of the 87th Combat Sustainment Battalion, 3rd Sustainment Brigade, and 3rd Infantry Division. Brandon was joined the U.S. Army in 2005 and was serving his second deployment to Iraq. He lost his life to an IED on March 21st, 2011, just a month ago, in Sawala, Iraq. He was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. Brandon leaves behind 2 children and his wife, Pavla, his children Sebastian and Guinevere, and 2 stepchildren, Morgana and Ordania. Brandon was 24 years old, and Shane is dedicating his motor to Brandon. It's just kind of coincidental that at Red Glare, our charity of choice was the Fisher House, and if you want to go onto the MDRA website to donate to the Fisher House, it would be greatly appreciated. It's a home that goes nationwide. It's like the Ronald McDonald House for injured soldiers, so their loved ones can be close to them when they're recuperating. Now moving on to Steve E's. Steve E's rocket is going to be launched on a Central P and 4 N3800 Loki research motors. The predicted altitude is going to be about a mile. The rocket will be launched as a 2-stage. The rocket is going to stage to a single N3800 approximately 1.5 seconds after the booster burns up. I want to thank the folks that donated to Steve's motors. Peter Abrach, who was an MDRA member, donated the N3800. Dave Weber, who was an MDRA member, donated an N3800. Jill Weber, who is an MDRA member, donated an N3800. And Mike Tyson, who is acting as my backdrop here, donated an N3800. Rockets Magazine donated an N3800, and we want to especially thank Shepard Stein for the P7000. All right, other folks that donated to the project were Arnold Siska, Robert Weisenberg, Clayton Sloth, Thaddeus Zaleka, and Nigel Village out of the UK. Also, we couldn't do this without our landowners, so we want to especially thank Eugene Higgs, Tommy Higgs, Michael Higgs, and Clifton Higgs. Let's give them a hand. Yeah! It's truly because of them that history is going to be made today on Higgs Farms. And without the support of their wives and their families, this wouldn't be happening, because we all know if Mama isn't happy, nobody's happy. And Mama's happy to have all you folks come onto Higgs Farm. We also want to thank all the surrounding neighbors. Without their support and patience to recover rockets from their property, this couldn't happen. Additional thanks go to Tim Lear, the Wild Man, and Anthony Cesaroni for the generous motor deal for Vern's rockets. They're all Cesaroni motors that he has. Jeff Taylor of Loki Research for the motors in Steve's rocket. Tim Wilsey for the motor casings in Steve's rocket, the N's and the P. Dan Michael, who is setting up the initiators, we don't use igniters, for Steve's rocket. We also want to thank the members of MDRA who are supporting both these flights: parachutes, electronics, webbing, launch towers, and launch system. The board of directors for MDRA is as follows. Our newest member is Maggie Stanton. Maggie, put your hand up. Where are you? Right there. All right, Mike Tyson, put your hand up. Fred Schumacher is not right here. Our secretary, Peter Abrash, I don't think is here. Treasurer, Kathy Gillian. Kathy, put your hand up. President David Gilroy, that's me, and President Bob Huntley, who's out there setting up his cameras. Once again, we also want to thank some of the sponsors that made these rockets happen. Wildman, Booster Vision, Cesaroni Pro X, Sticker Shock 23, Missile Works, Australian Rocketry, Loki Research, Ozark Aerospace, and True Value Hardware out of Hartsville. And with that said, we're probably about 15 minutes from launch time. As you can see, most of the folks are clearing out down there. So what I need everybody to do, unless you are part of the launch team, I need everybody to slowly walk to the other side of the house. You'll have a good view of the rocket, but we need to get everybody perpendicular to the wind. If there are any vehicles out there, we're going to try broadcasting on 88.9, so you'll hear us. 88.9 on your FM dial. If anybody with a vehicle over there can turn it on. We'll turn these speakers down that way and try to give you guys the best seat in the house. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming. Fly MDRA, fly MDRA, fly high.